Bring your cup and take a seat. Fill it up, coffee, wine, or tea. Come find what you're looking for. A good pour.
Welcome back to A Good Pour. I'm Kathryn Good, your host. Today we're joined by Justin Swanson with the Hendersonville Martial Arts.
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. I'm just going to be real honest. I had never been to a dojo before last Saturday.
Okay. So what'd you think?
I thought I was going to run into Karate Kid or something. I had no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
No idea.
A little more friendly than Cobra Kai, hopefully.
Yeah, my kids never requested karate. It's never something I pushed. But I will tell you we've probably talked, twice? And then I was at you call it the dojo, right? It's not a gym or studio. It's a dojo.
Yeah.
See, I'm still learning the lingo. But I wish my kids had been in it. I do. I was like, he has to be on the podcast because... And I want you to explain why, but you are doing good work in the sense of discipline and commitment and I mean, just the amount of yes sirs and follow direction for these kids. I was just incredibly impressed. So let's back up.
Sure.
How did you get involved with martial arts to begin with?
Yeah, so I mean, I would live back in the era there was like all these martial arts movies, and so I'm a movie guy, so it just totally captured my imagination. There was like Jean-Claude Van Damme was a big deal, but my parents were not into it at all. Like we were a swimming family, so I was a competitive swimmer. But I just, I would be on the side of the pool deck just thinking about doing a spin kick, and that would be so cool. And so it took a while because my mom was afraid of, certain things. Like she didn't want to, she thought kicking was for sissies. I don't know, she was kind of old school, real men punch, sissies kick. So that was one thing. And then another thing was, our faith. She didn't want me to get involved with Eastern mysticism or things like that. So it took a while. It was a friend of mine that trained at a dojo, and having her parents kind of endorse it, that it was a positive environment for their son. And then she had a conversation with the instructor, whose name was Tom Sullivan. And so I got started at a master self-defense school in Riverside, Rhode Island, and just kind of fell in love with it. And it really became a passion of mine.
What age were you?
I was 12.
Okay. So, I mean, this has been a lifelong journey, really.
Yeah. And that was a critical stage for me because I had, in that early high school age, I had friends that were getting involved with stuff they shouldn't have, friends getting involved with drugs and different things. And I was really at a crossroads, and martial arts just gave me a real positive outlet that I could really focus my energy on. And I trained with adults. I was a big kid, so I really never knew what kids class were like. I just trained with adults and trained a lot of people a lot bigger than me, and was challenged the whole time. And really, just spent a lot of time at the dojo. That was kind of my outlet.
Yeah. So what do you feel like it teaches kids? We'll start with kids. For me, it was just clearly focus and discipline.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that those are big things. We, a lot of times talk to our parents that, martial arts develops the mind as well as the body. Mm-hmm. So for every physical movement in martial arts, there's correlating mental benefits. And so there's a lot of great activities out there for kids. And martial arts is something that it's the structure and the protocols, so that it's one of the more structured environments you can get kids in. And kids actually embrace it. So they actually love to be yelling back the anchors, like, yes, sir. They love to be called to positions. They actually enjoy that. And it keeps them moving along, and it constantly draws their attention back to where it needs to be. So it creates a really good environment for respect. It teaches a really good environment for self-control. And then it's great for building confidence because we work on making little improvements every class, and then we really challenge praise those students. So it really builds them up in a way. And something I was sharing with you on Saturdays, I think somewhere 18 out of every 21 inputs that a kid encounters on a typical day are negative. And that's kind of old data. That comes back from, raising positive kids in a negative world. I think it was an old Zig Ziglar publication. But It's probably even worse now. So we just are determined to be a really positive place, that we're going to be reinforcing them. We're going to be, saying their name. We're going to be giving them a high five. We're going to catch them doing something good, acknowledge that. And then we're also going to just give them messages that can capture their imagination and really help them, embrace the black belt lifestyle, which is about a lot more than just learning how to defend yourself. It's really about trying to become the best version of yourself.
Yeah. So I got to see a kid's karate class, but I also got to see Krav Maga.
Yeah.
And how long has that been at the dojo?
So Krav Maga has been there since we started.
Okay.
So Krav Maga is
I just feel like I've heard a lot more about it in the past, 4 years maybe?
Yeah. So Krav Maga is something that is, I was first exposed to it, maybe 15 years ago.
Okay.
And my mentor, Paul Garcia, when we were first introduced and started to work together, and I started to kind of train with him and learn from him about martial arts and how to be successful in the martial arts business. We did a self-defense seminar together, and I was skeptical. I was like, I come from old school Kempo karate, and that's just all that you need to be successful. And so what is this Israeli stuff? Like, at the time, there had been a Jennifer Lopez movie called Enough. And that was probably the first pop culture reference to Krav Maga that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So she learned Krav Maga in that movie, and I'm just like...
And you were turned off.
I was like, I ain't J-Lo. All right, that's not gonna. But when I saw him teach some techniques from it, I was like, okay. One, he's a phenomenal martial artist, and then also a lot of the techniques just started to really make sense. And then I was exposed to more of it and more of it. So when I went to launch this school, I really grabbed a hold of his leg, and because he was like doing the two things I wanted to do. He's teaching karate to kids, and he was teaching Krav Maga to teens and adults, and he was doing it better than anybody else that I was aware of. So I really worked with him very closely to be able to learn how to do that effectively at our school. And so that was a journey. And so I've been fortunate to train with the best Krav Maga instructors in the world, and really put myself through the paces. And Krav Maga is very militaristic from an instructor standpoint. When you want to teach Krav Maga, all right, you're going to come here for a weekend, and we're going to beat the crap out of you. And so having to learn it that way, which is a very militaristic way, but then learn how to teach it to a soccer mom who's got to get up and take her kids to school the next day. And so we've really learned how to teach Krav Maga, which is really effective self-defense, in a way that just normal everyday people are embracing it and just learning and making improvements, getting in great shape, and then learning, what I believe is the most effective self-defense system on the planet.
So, and it really started with almost a HIIT workout, or because it was ladders and, running around the room right off the bat at the top of the workout. Is that usually how it goes? Yeah,
so we start with something that we call like a drill for skill. And so we want to focus on giving them a great workout. Mm-hmm. So our goal in Krav Maga is we want you to leave with the 3 S's: sweaty, sore, and smiling.
Okay.
So if we can, that smiling is key. We want you to have fun. We want you to know that you got a really good workout. Mm-hmm. And so, people can burn anywhere from, 800 to 1,000 calories in a class if they really push it. And so we got people, like some of our instructors will wear those little, heart rate things, and they've got their watches, and they know, they really pushed it and kind of track that stuff. But we try to focus on movements that are going to help them perform and move better. So not just working out for the sake of working out, but they'll do movements that will help them. And then a lot of times it's very striking based, so people will go out and do cardio kickboxing classes, get a great workout. You'll get a lot of those benefits, but you'll actually learn the proper mechanics of striking, and you'll learn how to defend yourself. So it kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. Which is really
I was really surprised when the plastic guns and knives came out.
Yeah. So, we teach people, what do you do?
I loved it.
In all those worst case scenarios. And we always try to be clear with people. If somebody has a gun on my face, I'm not going to sit there and think, this is my day. I get to, take this gun away, and it's going to be awesome. We try to let them know the stakes. If somebody has a gun and they're like, hey, give me your purse, you should give them your purse. Mm-hmm. You're not going to beat a bullet if somebody wants to shoot you. But if someone's like, hey, I want you to get in the back of my trunk, your chances of survival have gone down exponentially if you ever allow yourself to be moved. So that's really the context of Krav Maga weapon defenses. If someone has a gun and they're like, hey, I want you to come over here behind this alley, that's not going to be a good outcome for you. So we teach people some very effective techniques that again come from the Israeli military that you can use to solve that problem and maximize your chances to get home safe to your family.
So self-defense and safety. I mean, I think the first time you talked, you said that you tell kids that you should not, or adults should not ask you for help. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
Yep.
And so even if you're not learning, how to strike or, as a child, I mean, but the children are still learning self-defense is clear, but you're teaching them the importance of safety.
Yeah.
Has that always been important to you?
Yeah, I think it's important that we want to arm people with not just techniques, but information as well, and so that they understand the context of things. And with kids, we do this. We're going to be offering one coming up this weekend, a kids safety seminar. We're going to talk about different tricks that predators try to use to lure kids into the bad situations. And so, and one of those things that we talk about is that, just like you mentioned, like if an adult's like, hey, can you help me find my puppy? That's a warning sign. So adults don't ask kids for help. Adults ask adults for help. And so we actually have different labels that we place on them so that the kids can recognize, oh, okay. So, that's... like sometimes if someone's like, hey, you want to see this? They're trying to show, you want to come see my puppy? It almost goes back to the Silence of the Lambs. Want to come see my puppies? But just different tricks that people try to use to get you to lower your guard. And so for kids to be able to recognize that, for parents to recognize that, safe words. That's an important concept, so that if there actually is an emergency, that there's a safe word that only your parents would know and only the child would know. And there's lots of things. Like we live in an age where kids don't even know their parents' number sometimes. They don't even know how to get a hold of their parents in a dangerous situation. So these are things that I think families sometimes we don't think about, but just being intentional about is important. And our goal with some of this stuff is not to have kids walk around like all the time thinking that person's out to get me, but to feel empowered that they're aware. So, and give parents more peace of mind. So,
no, it's super important. I mean, I've learned stuff from you already and truly wish I would have put my kids in this. And a lot of it for me is the focus and the discipline of, hearing the instructor say yes, and they all say yes, sir, right away back. I did ask if it was a woman, if they would say yes, ma'am, and I was pleasantly surprised that that is what happens.
We try to be very key on that. We do have a number of female instructors.
I love it. What other goodness is coming out of this dojo?
So I think that is an interesting book by Angela Duckworth. You may have heard of it, called Grit. And so her whole supposition in that book is that one of the most important determining factors to success in life is to have this passionate perseverance towards your goals and the things that you want to achieve. And so I think that's one of the biggest things that kids can get out of the process. And so we're not here to give people a hard time. We want people to be in the dojo because they want to be there. But when we, really work on bringing a child to something like black belt, I think that's the biggest thing that young person or even that adult gets out of it, is the ability to push through and accomplish something, push through challenges, which are inevitable, and make things happen. So I believe it's teaching that grit, that character, to persevere and push through and make things happen. I think that's another big thing that just really builds people up in a positive way.
So the instructor said something. This was not in your class. It was in the foundations class for Krav Maga, and he said something that answered with "Challenge me, sir." What did he say? Do you know?
Challenge me, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes we say I'm looking for a volunteer. The students will they'll say challenge me, sir, or we'll call that out. We'll say, hey, everybody, challenge me. Say challenge me, sir, and everybody will say that. And it's just an idea that
I love it. Yeah.
That even in our methodology, that we don't try to and this isn't the way I was taught originally. It's like we would be in the horse. You you better keep your stance or I'll, it's very kind of a threatening environment. I kind of, if you're a hardcore martial artist or more of a military mindset person, what's wrong with you, private, that type of stuff. I mean, there was a little bit of that stuff, but we found that most people respond to positive affirmation. And so that's going to be by far a better way to instruct children. Mm-hmm. And that's not something that every school does. So a lot of people just don't know that intuitively. They with good intentions are very negative. So what we try to do is rather than say you're not doing this right, we want to challenge you to the next level.
Okay.
So your effort is there. Now I've got the next challenge for you. Let's keep, and let's add this. So viewing things as a challenge in a positive way. We always want to protect effort, and we always want to protect that belief that people can do it, because everybody can do it. Everybody could get. The only difference between a black belt and anybody else is just their mindset, and that's something we can help everybody achieve.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Especially when you're working out, and we all get these, like, you're tired. You don't feel like you can go to the next level. For me, when I heard that, it was like, oh, if somebody's actually saying, do you want to do this? And the rest of the, the class is going, challenge me, sir. I mean, it's almost like you have to step up.
Absolutely. Yeah, you get swept into a group. And so we like to have fun, Andrew. Even in our adult classes, we'll say things like the rounds get longer and everybody says we get stronger. Mm-hmm. And so those are like fun little anchors that we use. And we're not the only ones to do it. A good group fitness professional will do similar things. Mm-hmm. And so it just helps to capture that energy. So you feel pulled up in a group, you feel pulled into something bigger than yourself. And partner work is a big thing. And so we try to make sure that partner work is something where people are building trust with each other, and they're working on bringing out the best in each other. And so we don't want people correcting each other. We try to use the instructors who will go through a process of learning how to, coach people in a positive way. So we try to have people affirming each other and say, you've got this, and, just be really positive. And that's the environment we try to foster at the school.
So both classes I watched, kids and adults, both ended with a discussion on goals. Is that every class, or do you switch up the messages?
Yes, we do. So that's a great question. So we have curriculum that we work with, and a lot of it comes from really good foundational material, like from Zig Ziglar and John Maxwell and just other great sources. And then we kind of put a martial arts twist on it. So we have different themes every month. And so the goal is kind of a common theme for our advanced kids classes. And then in our adult classes, January is a good time, to talk about goals.
For sure.
And then, we'll move to different topics. We've got different topics with kids that we'll talk about. We'll focus on respect. And so what are the differences of respect? So there's respect. What is it? And having respect for yourself, having respect for the dojo, and then, of course, having respect for authority. And we've got different messages tailoring to those different aspects of respect and why it's so important, so crucial in and out of the dojo. So that's an element that we'll talk about. And then with adults, we do different things. A lot of it is about, discipline, the importance of discipline, and just things that are just going to help them, because, we're all going to encounter challenges and things that we hope that will inspire them in their training, but also that they can, apply outside of the dojo.
Yeah, love it. You are clearly active at the dojo scene, as you own it.
Yeah.
You're also a dad and a husband.
Yeah.
So we'd like to ask, just what is a good thing that you're doing to take care of you? What do you do that allows you to continue doing good work?
So, I think for me, fitness and martial arts have always been, kind of parallel but complementary things. So, I think for me, making sure that I do strength training has helped me to still, hopefully avoid injuries, and still be able to maintain a high level of fitness, because I want to be able to kind of practice what I preach. And so I think that's important. But it's also good for me. I tend to work out solo. So I do cross train in other martial arts, and some instructors and we train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu together a few times a week in the morning. And then, but I, strength training, that's kind of sometimes I'll be listening to podcasts or listening to audiobooks while I'm strength training. And that's kind of like my solo decompress time, which is really good. And, I find that, focus on fitness more, for ability to avoid injury and just maintain, being active and stuff like that. I think that's been helpful for me. And also to try to kind of lead by example.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else you would like people to know about Hendersonville Martial Arts? HMA?
Yeah. I think that I'd encourage everybody. I think my mentor, one of my Krav Maga mentors, his name is John Whitman, and he says that, if you live near water, you should learn to swim, and if you walk among men, you should learn to fight. And that doesn't mean that you're a violent person, but I think everybody can use some self-defense. How far you go with it is up to you, but I think that there's a good chance at some point in your life, you're going to encounter somebody that's going to try and pose themselves on you physically, and knowing what to do empowers you, and actually knowing what to do actually can help you make better decisions.
Well, it makes you feel more confident, right?
Absolutely.
Even walking down the street, if I know what to do, I'm going to appear more confident to a potential attacker, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So just the training itself is a deterrent, I find. And so there's a lot of great sports out there. But I think that sometimes people's priorities don't always line up with the things that they say they are. Like we all want our kids to be certain things. And I think I'm very bullish about martial arts. I think that martial arts, it really helps kids in a lot of key ways. And so ultimately we view this as a character and leadership development program. So it's a lot more than, so don't believe, I think some of the pop culture stuff is fun. It's good. But if you watch like Cobra Kai, that is not what a dojo is about at all. Dojo is really supposed to be we aim to be like the most positive place that your kid's going to encounter. And that we try to even treat our Krav Maga program the same way. It's not a gym where people learn to fight. And there are Krav Maga schools that are like that are more of a gym mentality where people learn to fight. But we're a martial arts dojo. And so we just foster an attitude of respect and safety, and so that's our passion, and that's our niche.
I didn't even have my shoes off. I was not on the mat at all, and I was inspired and impressed. So I think a lot of what you do, and I would not have known it had I not walked in the dojo, right? So we've had conversations on the phone. Full transparency, we're helping with some marketing. Yeah. But it took me going in that place and seeing the clear instruction and then coordinating respect coming from both kids and adults. But then clearly the instructors are pouring into them, to make them better in all sorts of ways. So I was very, very impressed.
Awesome.
I think you're doing excellent work.
That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. And I just, like I said, I wish my kids had done it. So I know it's not too late, but I can't make them do anything anymore. Yeah,
so. I totally get it. And that's actually one thing I would say is that's unique about martial arts is that it's something you can actually do with your kids. Now, not in the same class, but there are parents that are training with their kids, and they're earning belts at the same intervals. And that's just a really cool, thing that can be awesome for the whole family. Yeah.
Well, and there's pretty routine either events. I know I've seen women's special like self-defense classes or one nights. I'm going to bring Clara, my daughter, to the next one, assuming she agrees and doesn't have any other plans as almost 16-year-old. But there's opportunities, even if you're not going to commit to come to the classes to try things out.
We are very intent on giving back to the community, and so no strings attached events. We want to be able to help people in a variety of ways. So you just stay tuned with us on social media. Follow us. We've got events coming up this weekend. We have events for kids, events for adults. We do events for real estate agents. Lots of opportunities to come in and just learn from us, no strings attached. And we also have awesome opportunities to share with a lot of the local schools. That's been big for us. So, we're just here to give back to the community because the community's done so much for us.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being on here today.
Okay, thanks for having me.